Hey everyone, welcome back to Corporate Decoder, the place where we decode all the corporate jargon. Today we're diving into a report that's not quite as exciting as a new motorcycle launch, but it does tell us a lot about what Polaris Inc. is up to financially. We will decode the latest filing and see how they are doing. In short, Polaris has amended its credit agreement, pushing out some debt deadlines and adjusting financial rules to give itself some breathing room. They also prepaid some senior notes. We will go over all the implications. Before we start, if you appreciate getting straight insights from corporate documents, make sure you're subscribed. We also have a Discord community linked in the description below so that we can discuss these filings. So this report is a Form 8K, which is basically a quick update that companies file when something important happens. The key date here is June 27, 2025, because that's when the big event being reported took place. The main thing Polaris is telling us about here is an amendment to their existing credit agreement, which is just a fancy name for a loan deal. They made some changes to their loan agreement with US Bank National Association. Let's break down what those changes actually mean. First, they've extended the deadline for paying back a part of their loan, which is moving the repayment of a portion, the incremental term loan, to June 26, 2026. This gives them more time to come up with the cash. Instead of paying this year, they now have until next year. Second, they've changed the financial rules or covenants they need to follow. These rules are in place to ensure that they're managing their money wisely. This change is in effect from June 30, 2025 through June 30, 26, a period they are calling the covenant relief period. It sounds like Polaris needs a break from some of the strict financial metrics they were held to before. During this relief period, Polaris is restricted from doing a few things. They can't buy back their own shares, meaning if they did have a lot of cash they needed to spend, then they couldn't use that to buy back shares. They can still pay regular quarterly dividends, but there's a limit to how much. Also, some of their subsidiaries, meaning companies owned under the Polaris umbrella, can't take on too much debt. These limitations are put in place by the lender to ensure Polaris doesn't take on too much risk. Here's a critical point. If Polaris loses its investment grade rating from at least 2 major rating agencies, they have to offer up assets as collateral. Basically, if they look like they're becoming a riskier borrower, the lenders want to secure their loan by putting a lien, meaning the lender has claim to substantially all of their domestic personal property, which could be things like equipment or inventory. Despite these changes, the amended credit agreement still has standard conditions. It's like saying we're giving you some slack, but you still have to play by some rules. All the details discussed earlier related to the loan changes are reiterated here, being incorporated by reference, which is a fancy way of saying everything we said before applies here too. Now, switching gears, Polaris mentions another event, which is that they paid off $350 million in outstanding senior notes. These notes were due in 2028, but they decided to clear that debt early using money from their revolving loans, meaning a line of credit they can tap into as needed. Finally, the report lists the exhibits, which are additional documents filed along with the 8K. One is the actual amendment to the credit agreement, and another is a press release about the news. Now, let's take a step back and look at what this all means. Polaris is essentially reshuffling its debt, like reorganizing boxes in an attic. Not necessarily a bad thing, but interesting. By extending the loan maturity and getting temporary covenant relief, Polaris is buying itself time for its financial performance to improve. The restrictions on stock buybacks and dividends suggest they want to conserve cash, which makes sense. The potential requirement to provide collateral if their credit rating drops is a safeguard for the lenders, but also a warning sign. It means Polaris needs to be extra careful to maintain its financial standing. The early repayment of senior notes is a positive move. It reduces their long-term debt, but using revolving loans to do so means they're essentially swapping one type of debt for another. Overall, this 8K suggests that Polaris is facing some financial pressures, but is taking steps to manage its debt and maintain financial flexibility. It's not a crisis, but it's something to keep an eye on. Alright, that's our breakdown of Polaris's latest filing. What's your take on these financial moves and what they signal for the company's future? Drop your thoughts in the comments. If this analysis was valuable, hitting that like button really helps, and subscribe for more deep dives. Don't forget to check out the Discord in the description. Thanks for watching. See you next time.